What goes on inside. There's a lot of things that goes on inside. Yin and yang. Good things and bad things. All the things in between. It is what it is. You know, I don't know, but he knows. What do you think, peoples? Do I know? I don't know.
I think you do.
You'd think you do, or I do. What is to do, if not to do?
Well, I know what we could do.
What could we do?
We could sit there and be the first ones in line for that new taco place on the International Space Station.
That would be nice if I could get there and not pay.
I mean, come on, they've done several flights for what could be commercial space travel.
You mean like Bezos and Musk sending everybody up there?
I mean, hell, Captain Kirk went up to space and back.
Salute, salute, my friends.
Can't go wrong with that.
And he brought a copy of Star Trek up there, of the season. I can't remember which one. I'm assuming the one he was in, but he brought it up there. So live long and prosper for real. Okay,
thumb out. There you go.
There we go. But yeah, so we're talking about astronauts making space tacos, people, and welcome to Scuba and Ry. So, article on IGN talks about astronaut Megan MacArthur sharing photos of tacos that they made in space. Catches they used ingredients and vegetables that they grew on the space station.
I think that's really cool. I mean, the horticulture and all that, grow those and make tacos instead of a regular what we think of for astronaut food. But yeah, hey, good evening, everybody.
Good evening on a Taco Tuesday.
Debbie, how you doing out there? We see you in the chat. The other people in the chat, thank you much. Checking this out on a video VOD later. Thank you for watching.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyways, so yeah, this is episode 107 of Scuba and The Ry, your Tuesday night conversation on movies, games, and whatever else. Whether it's space tacos on a Tuesday,
yes,
oddly appropriate, or the latest films and video games that we're playing.
Oh yeah, we got some games, got some movies, got some things to talk about.
Oh yeah, we got a lot going on. We didn't have a show last week. Do apologize. Every so often people are under the weather and out of it. So, but
down, go back up.
Yep, here we are. We got stuff to talk about. Oh, that's good. Listening to us while she's cooking dinner. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Send some food my way because I'm kind of hungry.
You didn't eat on your way here?
I didn't feel like it. I want to eat afterwards.
Oh, you feel like maybe go and check out some chicken wings after?
Is it open on Tuesday?
Yeah.
I thought we. I will investigate.
They close it. Oh no, maybe they close at 8.
Keep on talking. I will investigate.
You'll investigate. All right. So tonight we got a couple movie reviews. We've got some video games we're playing. Through a convenient coincidence of events, I wound up with a PlayStation 5 in my library of toys.
He's got a PS5, people.
And I got to tell you, if you have not gotten a PS5 yet, be prepared. Wherever your PS4 is or PS3, before you get the PS5, make sure you clear off the entire shelf. Not just the spot where the PlayStation was. Clear off the whole shelf because this thing is freaking.
Yep, as I look at it, it's bigger than my face, my head.
I would say if you're out there and you haven't gotten one, you haven't seen one real life, and you have a PlayStation 4, it is roughly 2 PlayStation 4s high and 1.5 PlayStation 4s long. It's massive. It comes with its own stand because the shape is so funky, it cannot sit flat. You have to use a proper stand. And the interesting thing, when I went to clip in the stand, there's actually etched PlayStation images, like their controller buttons. They have that and the arrows, and it's like you as a marker to clip in where you put the base, which I thought was kind of cool, and it reminded me of back when Transformers first released. the first live action film with Michael Bay, and how Chevrolet had released a couple of cars in relation to the movie that they used in the movie.
Yep.
There's actually a little known thing on like the Camaros. There's actually Transformer script on the legit Camaros that were released at the same time the film was released. So
yeah. Speaking of Transformers, they're releasing a new one next year.
Oh,
they wrapped up filming, and yep.
It's so excited.
Yep, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. It actually is the sequel to Bumblebee, so they're kind of rebooting it and using authentic Gen 1 replicas for the cars. So,
okay, we'll see how that plays out. I haven't seen Bumblebee yet, but after the last couple of Transformer films, was Last Night and Extinction, I was a little.
Yes, and I reviewed them, people. So if you wanted to see my reviews, they are probably on earlier podcasts.
Probably, or go to ryreviews.com and check it out along with all of his other movie reviews.
My rants.
But I picked up PlayStation 5, been playing a bunch of video games. The new Forza Horizon 5 release, so we have our first impressions on that game.
At least 30 minutes, and then a few more minutes after this podcast.
Yes. Hey, it's a first impression. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, that's right. Thank you for somebody reminding me.
Yes. Plans.
Well, no, it's Debbie's birthday coming up.
Boom,
so
boom.
Happy birthday. I didn't need a whole lot of prompting this year. Gives me shit every
of course.
Forgetting her birthday.
Of course. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Yes. Okay. Doing it. Okay.
Remember her birthday, I'll say happy birthday, and if I log into Facebook, I'll send her a message saying happy birthday when her birthday's here. So.
Happy birthday, and then log off.
That's I have to say, if I didn't have Facebook, I wouldn't remember half the people I know's birthdays.
That's so funny because that's like the number one thing is, like, people would just not forget people's birthdays. Like, they'll just be like, oh, I don't know. Like, Facebook, what's my birthday?
And of course, but with that, you're trusting that the other people put their legit birthdays in for their birthday.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they did. Hopefully you are right.
Turning 21 again.
Hey, we all turn 21 every other year, supposedly. Depending on who you wants to count it.
I was watching an Instagram reel not too long ago. It was this guy does this series of things where he talks about the different generations, and this one, it's like he's the Gen Z asking the millennial how old the millennial is and when the millennial was born, and harassing the millennial because millennials are now at that point where the next generation thinks of them as old.
Yes.
My favorite part is near the end of the video. The Gen Z tunes out the millennial, turns over and asks, "Hey, what's your birthday?" to the Gen X character, and the Gen X is just like, "Screw you," and walks away. And I'm like, I don't feel the same on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get into movie reviews. We got a lot of reviews today. Let's talk about them.
We got uno, dos, tres.
Yep.
And that is tres.
All right, first one on deck is Last Night in Soho. This one is kind of a period piece, 1960s in London.
Well, that's part of the movie. It takes place in present day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was reading that. I thought it seemed like it was more centered on 1960s London. But right, give us a rundown on this one.
All right, so Last Night in Soho is the next film from writer-director Edgar Wright. If that name is familiar, he did Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So those are recognizable names.
Oh boy.
So, but the thing is that every one of his films, he's always does a different genre, and this one's no exception. So he dives into this.
Wait. First question: is Simon Pegg make an appearance in this movie?
No, that's not a spoiler. No. So it has nothing to do with Simon Pegg or forget the other guy's name.
Because they were in Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's
The World
End.
and yeah, that's the Cornetto trilogy of
Yeah.
films. So this one is more of a outside the box
Okay.
for him because he dives into psychological horror with this film. So this film focuses on a character named Eloise, played by Thomasin McKenzie, and she is a person with a special gift, but also she's an aspiring fashion designer. And she's very influenced by the past, aka the 1960s. She loves the 1960s. So she gets accepted to the London School of Fashion, and she's trying to follow in the footsteps of her deceased mother. So, moving from humble beginnings, because she grows up on the farm, she moves to the big city, and moving to the big city does bring about some kind of conflict because she's not used to the big city life. So what she expects it to be versus reality of the situation, which sets the present day. But it also drives her to seek out refuge by renting out a bedsit from an elderly woman by the name of Miss Collins, played by Diane Riggs. Um, when she rents out this house, she starts to have these visions, and this ties into her special kind of clairvoyance powers. They never explain to it, which is a good thing. You kind of leave it a mystery, but because of her clairvoyance powers, she's able to relive spirits of that area of those houses, and this
So
is where
she moves into this house in modern day,
yeah
and while she's in the house, she's having flashbacks of the
she's
60s.
yes. So what happens is when she goes to sleep, she falls into these dream sequences, which are her powers, where she gets to live a certain person's life in that world. So in the 1960s in London, she is following the life of an aspiring like stage girl by the name of Sandy, played by Anna Taylor-Joy. So with the connection, she starts to build a wholesomeness with her fashion designing. So she's getting inspiration by living this life because she thinks the glitz and glamour and the romanticism of that era is such an awe-inspiring thing to her. But at the same time, what happens is that the ambiguity of living certain moments of her life, it starts to break down her own mental strain on reality. So what happens is by living these different scenes, she starts to see these horror villains or horrific visions of paranormal stuff. So she witnessed a murder. I'm going to put that in quotes because that's how it seems. So it's fragmented in what she sees, and she starts to get paranoid, and it starts to create this sense of uh, craziness within the present because things start to not be what they seem. So the present and the past start to collide.
This sounds familiar. Seen a couple of different, heard of a couple of different films where you have this kind of flashback, that mystery kind of deal.
Well, not in a sense like on the surface that's what it will seem like because the visions of the past start to become the present because she starts realizing that everything around her has some kind of connection to this murder. And as the past brings about larger questions, it starts to cause visions that turn into a haunting of the unresolved crime. So that's when it moves into the latter half of the film where dark visuals and circumstance start to contrive the experience, and it starts to be unhinging because there's so much unpredictability on what's really true and what's really not because of the visions that she sees, but what she is experiencing with certain characters.
You know what? Now that reminds me, there's an animated film that released years ago, anime called Perfect Blue.
Yep. That I love that anime.
What you're describing sounds like this in live action with a few tweaks, but it sounds like it's that person who's kind of has has the seeing the world from two different perspectives.
Yep.
And it all coming together in the end to solve it. So overall, how was this in terms of the flow from first act, second act, third act? I mean,
The flow, yeah, the flow was very methodical, and the slow build, the way that Edgar Wright does is that he fleshes out the characters in a very slow, methodical way. So by building up Eloise, you understand her connection to Sandy, and then you start to realize how their past and presents become one. So when the horror elements kick in and all these unexplained twists and revelations happen, like it's very conscious and very effective because what you think is happening, that unresolved crime, the murders, it's not what it is. So when the twists happen, it adds even more layers to all the other side characters that she comes in contact with and makes it purposeful on what the outcome is for her character as well as the Sandy character.
Now, does it feel gratifying when we get to the conclusion and the
Yes,
climax?
because it builds a wholesomeness to both the character of Sandy and the character of Eloise. So with the closure of that past, it ties into her present and her ability to move beyond.
Now, Anna Taylor-Joy, she's been doing quite a few films that people are associating with her, with Queen's Gambit,
Queen's Gambit.
Magic from New Mutants.
Yep. And
She's been making the circuit.
yeah, she is so great and so just such a vibrancy in her eeriness because she's very much of a stickler because this is the 1960s, so she's very strong within a very male dominant era.
Okay.
But it flips the script on it because what you think it is, it becomes less of that, and then what she actually becomes in the present becomes something of where there's no good or bad. It's all about what is truly right with trying to find the answers to these murder. To the
Okay.
murder.
So, what about the rest of the supporting cast? How are they?
Supporting cast is great. It's great, but only they play up to the tropes, but don't act out the one-dimensional tropes. They are the caricature of the story, but they have importance.
Okay.
So they're more than just here to make the plot grow. They're here for a purpose.
All right. So in the end, what are we calling it?
Overall, I think this is a truly rewarding experience for fans of Edgar Wright and the fact that he is able to influence his kind of spin within psychological thriller. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, 4.5 out of 5.
Nice. Alrighty. Number 2 for this week is the latest My Hero Academia.
Yep. It's the latest film from this big manga series.
I be honest, I've no idea. I don't follow the anime. I haven't. Well, I've seen some cosplay prop builds for some of the stuff in it. It seems like it's another one. It seems pretty normal as far as high school anime groups. But what is this one's big thing?
All right, I'm not gonna go into the big huge thing. For anybody who knows My Hero Academia, you know what it is. But My Hero Academia, it is an anime. This specific film focuses on the group of the class of 1A from the pro hero from UA High School, and the whole film is focused on there is a group, a terrorist organization known as Human Rise, who wants to take out all of the quirk people. So those are the people with the powers. So they want to take it back to where humans were the main species instead of just being irrelevant because of all the superheroes. Very much a faith, like a cult, faith-based driven organization. So it pits the pro heroes against the villains within a typical, heroes versus villain concept in the surface. But what it really focuses on is on the main character from the series, Deku, and how he brings about a purpose to heroes within this dilemma through a new character introduced in the movie called Rodisol.
Interesting.
So it goes along the beat by beat that you would find about a hero versus villain kind of story, but there are certain things that happen in the beginning that puts them as fugitives on the law. So they're on the run from the law for various reasons, but they're trying to get answers to stopping what Human Rise is going to do to them. So even within the linear path, what makes this film great is the relationship that develops between Deku and Rody Soul and the animation. Like the animation and the action sequences are top notch. And if you're familiar with Shonen Jump is purposeful of pushing that over the topness to the extreme. So it's the aesthetics of the anime placed against the relationship of Deku and Rhodey that makes this that unlikely pair trope driven to a poignancy of what it means to be a hero. Because even when you have all the tropes, the typical villain, the heroes versus the villain stopping the world destruction, there is a philosophical ideal of what actually makes a hero. And that idea is how can that drive people to be a villain? So on the surface, the leader of Human Rise, you think he's a typical mustache twirling villain, but you realize that ideal of what it means to be a hero in this society in anime, how it drove all these characters down different paths. How to be a hero, not trusting heroes, but you know they have to be there, and why you became a villain because of the hero. So
What'd you give it?
overall, this is for fans of anime, for fans of the series. It was a great time at the theater. 4 out of 5 full price. Aesthetics are great. The colorful is great. If you're a fan, check it out. So
Is it hard if you're not familiar with the
no,
story? Does it waste a lot of time in introducing
nope.
you to the concepts?
Like what it does, it drops you in because what happens is that there is a prologue where it showcases human rise's devastated effect, like the device they use, and it's very horrific. So they don't cut corners at all.
Okay.
So they show how deadly this group is, and it brings all the heroes around the world together on this world heroes mission. Wink, wink. Um, and that's it. It goes from there. It focuses on the main characters, and it's just them trying to figure out how to stop them. So, 4 out of 5.
Alrighty. Well, that brings us to our last film to talk about, and that is The Eternals, the latest one from Marvel Studios.
This is Scuba and The Ry does the movies again.
Yeah, we both went and saw this one. This is, of course, the latest film in the Marvel MCU.
Yes, sir.
What, film 55?
152 times 1 means a million, but actually 27th.
27th film.
Yeah. That's a lot of films. They're almost at 30.
Films in, what is it, 2008 was the first one?
2008. Yes.
So 2008, 2006,
You know what?
8 years. This 2016, 2021.
2008.
2008. So, you know, that's well, 12, 13 years.
13 years, 27 films, plus 3 series up to this point. Or on Disney Plus.
That's impressive for them to go. And obviously, when you're doing that many films, it's how do you keep the stories fresh? It was interesting.
Yep, because you can't keep doing the same formula, and everybody has deemed them because they call it the Marvel formula now. So how do you break that mold? Well,
you do a film like this, which is a character-driven story that is not directly influenced or influencing the events of previous MCU films, so it kind of fits in pretty decently.
Yep.
But this one is, we're giving another director, Chloe Zhao.
Yes, Oscar-winning Chloe Zhao.
She did the film No Man's Land, which took the Oscars this year. So
yep,
and it's a very character-driven story. Now, obviously, with this, sometimes you think about these directors who do character-driven stuff, and then they do the Marvel film, and they have to have the big Marvel set piece. Some it makes them, some it breaks them. This one is actually pretty good. But yeah, so we have the Eternals. This is a group of 10 individuals who come to Earth 7,000 years ago and are there at the birth of civilization.
Yes.
They're there to hunt these creatures called the Deviants, which hunt sentient life for some reason. We don't know why until later. But then we follow these 10 individuals as they live on Earth, live amongst the humans of Earth, and then it comes to a point they kind of go their separate ways. And now post Snap, post Thanos, post Endgame, something is drawing them together. And now we're kind of seeing how these dynamics kind of roll out.
Yep. So this film, Chloe Zhao does a great job in building up the characters and the group, and it's through both dialogue, it's through the direction, and it's through editing. Because on the foundation, it is a comic book film, but it weaves in the character's journey, and not just being a hero's journey or a specific kind of journey, but it's a character focused journey. and she does a great job in weaving importance on all 10 individuals, and she does it by editing, by going from the present to the past at specific moments in the film.
Yeah, and some of the criticism could be the too much time skipping, but Ryan and I both kind of agree the time skipping is really well done.
Yep.
Because it isn't time skip to time skip. There's actually purpose in each of the flashbacks.
Yep.
Which allows you to learn more about these characters.
You get to learn about the characters. You get to watch the MCU grow and expand on a universal scale, and it brings into an ideological motivation of not only sentient life, but the importance of nurturing life because of certain things that happen throughout the film.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with this one I like in terms of villain problem that we've seen in a lot of Marvel films, this one the villain is not clear cut.
Yep. Like they have the trope within the deviants, which is their plot fodder, but that is not the true villain, because there isn't really a true villain. It's all a matter of what is important to them and what is important to their mission in a way.
Which I think is probably one of the best things about the film is the fact that the villain, as in general, is very gray.
Yeah.
Because you can make the argument there's a couple of different villains.
Yeah.
At varying degrees. But this is what I think is really nice and refreshing is we don't have the quote unquote superhero formula of hero's journey, bad guy defeats the bad guy, gets the girl or significant other, and that's the end of the film.
Yeah.
This one it's like each one of them, you're spending time following each of these characters. While some of them have more screen time than others, the ones that even have a few minutes of screen time comparatively, their impact and the focus on them when they're on screen is really well balanced is what I'm thinking. So yeah. I overall really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I think as both of us discuss it and talk about it, there are a few things that are kind of okay, like the deviance is a big one.
That's a glaring flaw for me.
But and then maybe some concerns on pacing, but the strongest point of this film is the characters.
Yep.
Every single one of them is a great enjoy to watch. And we actually did a count. There are roughly 13 characters.
10 Eternals and then the extra stuff.
10 Eternals.
Prime Celestial Arisham.
Prime Celestial, one of the Deviants.
Crow. I think it's Crow. Is that his name? Kroos?
And then there's the Black Knight.
Dane
Whitman. So the valet that works with Kingu.
My favorite character.
He's such a great joy in that film, isn't he? I mean, he's like, here's this guy who can be representative of the audience, just kind of caught up in these weird, wild events.
And it plays to the point of how strong the directing is. It's because he fits a type, but he's not a type. So it shows how Chloe Zhao weaves relative dialogue within the bombastic genre elements, because there are action set pieces, but it's that cathartic journey of the individuality that makes the film enjoyable throughout.
Yeah, and seeing how the different people, they have their thoughts and opinions on how to guide humanity, and how they've all kind of shifted and adjusted. They've lost faith. They've regained their faith in humanity. And I think one of the things for this film is it talks about a lot of really kind of larger concepts that we gloss over in other fictional stories.
Yeah. And that's what I think the strength of film is that it brings a contrary to ideals versus duty. So without spoiling anything, they have to face a factor of inevitability of what will they do with the emergence. That's not a spoiler. That's in the trailer. So.
Mm-hmm. That, and I mean, there you can definitely see the hero's journey trope, but it's not as front and center as some of the other films.
Yep,
we've talked about or seen.
It's a foundation, but Zhao elevates it above it for the characters, at least.
I'm solid with a 4 out of 5 for this. What about you, Ry?
I had a good journey, but the third act does building up through the third act brought it down a little bit, and the deviants were glaring. So it still was enjoyable. 3.5 out of 5.
And of course, they give us our great post-credit scenes that were just like,
Two.
what? Yeah, we got 2 this time.
One I knew about. One I had no idea what that was.
That one at the end. At the end of the credits, that one just really kind of pulls you up, pulls you. It's like, what?
I was like this after that happened. I was like, who is this? What is this? That was me at the end. So I know Marvel, but there's stuff in Marvel that I do not know.
Well, yeah, I think some of the things like these are like C-list characters that are being brought up to the forefront, which I think is nice because you have a lot more flexibility in their stories as opposed to the A-listers. The A-listers, everybody knows. Everybody has these expectations. And yet we have these C-listers that you can bring up and kind of reinvent and see how it goes. I mean, look at what they've done with some other characters. You know, relatively minor compared to some of the others in that. Anyways. Great movie. Go check it out. It's definitely an enjoyable time, especially if you're into those films that makes you want to think about the world as a whole and see things in more of a shade of gray. And of course, the diversity of the cast, the diversity of topics is nothing feels forced.
Everything is organic with what they show on screen.
Which actually is kind of interesting because if you think about it, and I mean, minor thing is like the Eternals are supposed to be androids that were created by the Celestials. I like how the Celestials created diversity in the androids.
Yeah, it makes sense. That, like, something I picked up from another thing I read is that Celestials created the Eternals, or they create the Eternals to represent whatever planet they go to. Planet Earth is filled with diversity. It makes sense that the Celestials will create a diverse group of Eternals for said planet.
Which, I mean, that works, but it's such a great point how diverse this cast is. Think about it. 20 years ago, if they were to try to do this film, it would not be as diverse as...
No, it would have...
Unfortunately, it wouldn't have. We don't need to go much further. But this one, I think the diversity definitely adds to it, and I think the topics they touch on are great.
Yeah.
We get a lot of firsts in this film that we've not seen in other films. So go check it out. Really enjoyable. Definitely stay for the cutscene, for the post-credit scenes.
And bust out your phone if you don't know.
At this point, I'm sure if you watch several of the sources, you've seen it, or you go see it, you'll find out. But you know, we'll see what happens. Anyways, back to the
show.
Yeah. Oh man, we got a lot. So we got a couple of things going on over the next couple weeks, don't we?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you're traveling.
Yeah, I'm going to Wisconsin for the holiday. I'm going to be driving. First time it's been a while since I road tripped, and just I'm going to road trip in my car, and we're going to road trip out and head out to Wisconsin, the Madison area, hang out for a few days, and then drive back. Fun. We got a road trip on Saturday.
Yes, we are. We are going to visit some vineyards, visit the Bull Rock Cidery, and yeah, hopefully the way I have it mapped out, we can. Because I want.
We're gonna be back here by about 7 p.m. Right?
I don't know if that's possible.
Let's try. At least by 8.
Yeah, but 8 or 9. Because
we want to shoot for 8 because we're supposed to. We couldn't do a show for Feywild Venture last week. I think we're gonna cast is good with trying to do it this Saturday, so I want to try and be back by 8 o'clock. I'll do all my prep ahead of time so that it can just drop in and might be a few minutes late, but I want to see if we can at least shoot for that. Hopefully that doesn't change too much, but you know.
No, it doesn't change too much. It's just I'm not going to speed like crazy. But you know, I should where we're going. Well, not like that. But
I've taken road trips with you before. Yeah. You know, the car tends to go pretty fast.
Oh yeah, but yeah, we should be going on a trip, give or take. But Yeah, we should be good because we're not going to Northern Virginia. We're only going to the Charlottesville Central area.
Few
Central,
hours. It's a
yeah,
few
it's about
hours.
two. Where we're going to go takes about 3 hours, but coming back, it's not going to take long.
Oh, that's fine. Fun.
So
It's looking forward to doing a road trip for that. Sunday I've got some extended family stuff. It's my friend's birthday, the one who passed away earlier this year, so kind of memorialize over at one of the city parks. So that'll be a thing.
that should be good. Yep.
Pretty quiet, and then getting ready for what's going on next. We got the next Ghostbusters Afterlife on the 19th.
Yep. It's next week, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then a few other films coming down the pipeline. The next Ridley Scott film, House of Gucci, which looks very great character wise. Got the next Disney movie, Encanto, coming out.
Also, we have Disney Plus's anniversary next week or this week.
Friday.
Yep.
Yep.
Get to watch Shang-Chi again.
Yes,
Forward to that.
sir. I am going to watch it again because I love that movie.
But next week we'll have a podcast episode, but we won't have one the week of Thanksgiving because I'll be driving.
Yes, sir.
Should be good for the week after Thanksgiving. So we'll talk some Ghostbusters and and how much we regret how much turkey we ate. That's what you do after Thanksgiving. Talk about how much turkey you ate and how sick you felt afterwards.
I just want some banana nut bread. I love banana nut bread.
Actually, no. Speaking of that, this Sunday I went over to the brewery nearby, Big Ugly.
Okay.
And they had a drink I've been wanting to see on tap. It's called Mercy Killer. It's a Belgian ale aged in rum barrels, so it's got a very interesting taste, a really good aftertaste. 9.9%. So you drinking that, it's gonna put you down. Anyways, but they had a food truck there that was like an Asian Filipino style food truck. And picante, the really thin noodles. You know what I'm talking about? It begins with a P. Like,
oh,
it's PINCATE or something like that.
are you talking about pancit?
Yes.
The Filipino dish of choice.
So that and lupia and whatever. Now that I was telling Saladin this when we went to lunch yesterday. Is like the thing that got me was like he had orange chicken and chicken barbecue skewers, right?
Yeah.
But the orange chicken, and when you think of orange chicken and you think of like Chinese and Asian food, you're thinking like these little chunks of chicken that are more breading than actual meat.
Yeah.
Now, this place was like he must have rolled down and grabbed the big old 25-pound of chicken nuggets and made this orange chicken with these big chicken nuggets. So it's like you got like the big chicken pieces that are like yay big around in orange sauce. It's like
yeah,
that was good times. It was something to do for lunch with the missus, so
always spend some time with it.
But it's good. And of course, Saturday was watching Eternals, and Sunday was kind of just hanging out, making the rounds.
Yep, that's what I've been doing the weekend, just hanging out because of major projects are coming down the pipeline. Because last month of the semester, that's when everything's piled in. So working on that. Celebrated the mom's birthday on Friday. Went to the Korean hot pot over at Virginia Beach, and if you've never been to it and you like Korean anything, check it out. Also tried out the new brewery that opened up in where Gordon Biersch used to be in Town Center, Three Notch Brewery. Yeah, Gordon Biersch closed over a year ago. So, but a new restaurant moved in, a brewery out of Charlottesville. So I consider it local because it's still Virginia.
Yeah.
It's called Three Notch Brewery. So it's like a little restaurant / brewery. So tried a sampler of all the beers. I'm not the biggest beer fan, but there's always one or two that I like, and I found the one that I like. So yeah, good food too. So, but other than that, just chilling and gaming.
Speaking of gaming, what you been playing?
What have I been playing? Outside of the 30 minutes of Forza Horizon 5 I did, Far Cry 6 is dominating my game life right now.
How far are you in that? Are you close to the end? Or?
I have no idea because I call that game the open world distraction because I end up doing all the other stuff or just finding other things to do on my spare time, taking bases and other stuff. And I'll progress the main story here and there, but then I just feel like just going on Murderer's Row and just taking something back for Libertard. So I just love the great and the fun aesthetics of it, because every little thing you do has a consequence in that game.
Speaking of consequences, you got to remember to stay off the game for a few days and see if you get your email from El Presidente.
Maybe not. But if you stop playing, as article reported on IGN, El Presidente, which is played by Juan Carlos Espinito in the game, he will send out an email taunting you for your lethargic display of ignoring this game. Blasphemy, blasphemy.
Which, Ubisoft has done this with a few of their games.
Yes.
Like, I remember back with the Division, first doing Division, you would get emails and whatnot about mission ops that are coming up that you can play. But I think this is kind of funny that, El Presidente is going to email you about, like, dude, get back and play this game.
Oh, yeah. I love the fact, and they do it with a twist where the character in the game is harassing you through email, which is funny and hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But the game overall, like, the story is really good. I like the characters. I'm not playing on a very difficult, I'm playing through story mode, but it's still fun. It's just the world is just very lively and very open. And I just like all the different things you can do. And just in the missions, you can just either go guns a-blazing, or you can sneak around and just stealth your way through everything.
I do like that.
So I like the organicism of it. So I'm having fun in it. How far I am in it? There's 3 areas, or let me see. There's 3 areas that you have to take over other than the main city. And I've done most in the central area, a little bit on the top area, none in the bottom.
Okay.
So I guess I'm 30% because I get distracted in that game and do all the other things. So.
Yeah, I've been playing Warhammer 40K game called Inquisitor Martyr. A friend of ours, Penumbra, he was sitting there, and he and I had dinner a couple days ago, and he was telling me about this game, and I was like, this game's on sale on PlayStation and on sale on Steam not too long ago, and he's like, it's got 4-player online. You should play this. Give me the evil eye to like buy the game. It's like, fine.
You should play it. Wink, wink.
I know.
Finger. You better.
So I got it. I downloaded it, and it's a Diablo style game.
So is it isometric?
Yeah, it's isometric. It's very much dungeon crawl, but it's in that Warhammer 40K universe, which is for me really hard to visualize because I'm used to seeing it in the miniatures for the table or the books. But to see a video game adaptation of the modern stuff, like if you played, the Warhammer has several other games. The Warhammer 3 that's coming out next year, which looks cool. But there's also like the Vermintide, but that's all like the ancient, pre-technology type stuff. The 40K universe is the one where it's like, dark and dystopian and just gothic.
I have a couple of those Warhammer games on that Game Pass. I don't remember which ones.
Vermintide is a lot of fun. Warhammer is pretty fun, but this Inquisitor Martyr is interesting because you play as an Inquisitor who's trying to find this lost ship, which they call a fortress monastery, which is absolutely bonkers. And you're trying to figure out where it disappeared to and who's running it, and going through mission to mission. So you're popping from planet to planet. It's got some StarCraft vibe to it in terms of your main area where in between missions where you have all these characters you can interact with to do the gear change out and whatnot, and of course you can play 4-player online co-op, or you can play 2-player local co-op, and the game has turned out to be a lot of fun. It was very very cathartic and kind of relaxing. I've been playing online with friends doing that, which is really nice because online friends are always fun to play with. So, but doing that, and then today, as you did too, it's like we both booted up the new Forza Horizon 5. And
yes, I did. At least 30 minutes of it.
I'm hooked. I mean, that game is... Now, keep in mind, we've only been in it for a few minutes. We got through the opening sequence, but this game's opening sequence literally drops you into Mexico. Yeah. I do mean literally from an airplane,
3 times.
Shooting in 3 different, no,
3 times?
Twice.
So I think it's 3.
2 times. The last one, the plane, and you back out of the plane. You're not dropped over the jungle.
Yes, that is right.
But,
he does skid you out.
But it's really nice how it's like you see this plane, you're like, okay, how are you going to introduce me to the maps? And this one's like, oh yeah, you want to drop in, and then next thing you know, you're rolling out of the back of the C-130, parachuting down and driving, and it was hilariously fun.
Yes, I love the opening sequence and playing a lot of Forza Horizon 4 and 2. I can feel the plethora of options that are going to be in this game is endless, because Forza Horizon 5 has all the stuff that 4 plus expansions has, plus more. And just the little tidbits you can see, not just graphically it looks amazing, but the customization is going to be there. And I can tell that they have elaborated on a lot of things from 4 and expanded upon with accolades, expanded the skill sets, and expanded customization.
I like how, speaking of the customizing your avatar right out the gate, really nice, because they add in an element that you don't normally see in character customization.
It was a cool one.
The prosthetics, and you get to pick a voice, because you actually have a voiced character this time.
Yep, that's a new one which wasn't in any of the previous games.
So overall, of course, the thing that threw both of us for a loop is when we get into that first race where we win, we're introduced. They're hyping us up as we arrive, and then once we get there, they calls us out by name, as since we're the star of our story. And it was like, I didn't see any of that info.
Oh yes, the AI is taking over, but they caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, this game knows me.
That's not how I go. That's not my name in video games.
But yeah, customization, I can tell is going to be a lot. The variety in the races, I can tell is going to be, because you're going to go from beach to street to jungle, forest, and the fact that it takes place in Mexico, like you mentioned, the Mayan temples.
Temples was a lot of fun driving through. That was really interesting. I like the textures. I like the other one of the races will drive right into a sandstorm. No other way but to go through it. It's like, all right.
Oh, yep. I did one of the missions. There was a photo op missions where you had to go in and take a photo. So yeah, and the dynamics of that sandstorm, you have to pay attention to every little detail when you're racing, which I appreciate.
So yeah, we've both been playing that. Probably gonna have more fun to go with that as we go about.
Yep, probably after this podcast, I'll jump on it.
Yeah. Speaking of, Forza is a good segue for another one of our odds and ends stories, and that is the license plate. Now, Forza, you get to customize your license plate. My license plates say Scuba. I know it's a big trope, but hey, if we play online, which you can find if you have Microsoft Game Pass, you can play for Horizon 5. PC or console. I downloaded and was running it on PC today. It was a lot of fun. Ry, you ran yours on your Xbox console.
Yeah, Series X.
And since it's that cross thing, it's like if I run it up on my console, I can switch right over to it, or play it via my phone if I wanted to do that too.
Yep.
Stream it to my phone, so a lot of fun there. But unlike some places where you have to pay attention to your license plate, like in Ohio, apparently they made a mistake in their printing.
Yes. So speaking of missing out on the wrong stuff, reported on SF Gate, Ohio printed not 1, not 2, but 35,000 new plates with the wrong banner of the Wright brothers' historic first plane flight.
Which is, if you know your history, that is typically a North Carolina bit. They claim the first in flight, and they have the Wright brothers plane. All of a sudden, the Ohio plate has that, trying to do the same. So probably a pretty expensive printing problem there.
Yeah. So they were trying to illustrate the rural and urban parts of Ohio. With the banner that read "Birthplace of Aviation," but they used the wrong plane and the wrong area, because that was the Outer Banks.
Oh boy!
But they said the correct plates are scheduled to be released December 29th, and they're going to recycle all the 35,000.
You know, a few people are going to hang collectors.
Yes, I would, and say how my state explicit up, you know, do boom boom. But you know, what's to say about a license plate being wrong, but a trash can traveling far, far away?
As long as it's got its proper passports, although how it crossed the border, I don't know. They're just opening up the borders. But yeah, you're talking about another story from Odds and Ends. Apparently a trash can from Myrtle Beach had traveled all the way across the pond and back.
Yes, so reported on Associated Press, the city of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, announced Monday that a waste barrel had somehow washed up in County Mayo, the Emerald Isle of northwest coast of Ireland. Yes.
Oh boy, here's some frequent flyer miles.
Yeah. So
did they explain how it got there?
Nope. The only guess they said is that it got carried away in the Gulf Stream during a major wind event.
Oh, so storm blew it out to sea, and then it just sailed its way over.
So as quoting the city official from here said that we typically remove trash containers from the beach before a hurricane, but this one apparently had a mind of its own. So, you know, the luck of the Irish, maybe?
I guess. I mean, hope it wasn't made. Maybe if it was made out of vinyl, it's trying to get away from being recycled.
Yeah, but you know, it might be hard to get made out of vinyl when there's a backlog.
Yeah, can you believe it? We've gone full circle. It's like I remember as a kid having vinyl records. Then they kind of fell out for tapes and CDs and all that, and now they've made this resurgence.
Yep.
So much so that there's an actual shortage for vinyl records because Adele's new album is just so good that everybody wants it on vinyl, to the point that any other artist wanting to get a vinyl record made has to wait until they restock their vinyl.
Yes. So, as reported on Consequent Sound and through Variety, Adele, a lot of people know Adele, and a lot of people love Adele, her music. So she just dropped a new single, and she's about to drop her new album soon. And because of that, Sony Music sources tell Variety, quote, that more than, not one, not two, but 500,000 vinyl copies of the album 30 has been manufactured in the months leading up to the album's release of November 19th. So, yeah, because of this, delays in production has put a squeeze on other artists that want vinyl, and they said that you won't probably be able to get any albums printed on vinyl until 2023. So yeah, that's a twofold approach. One, like you said, nostalgia. Like the vinyl community is huge now. Like it's like you go into every store, you have record players, you have a ton of vinyls. There are barely any CDs, ton of vinyls. And the cool thing about this is that it shows that music, its evolution can move forward while moving backwards within that forward momentum. So
yeah,
and
makes sense.
And it's just cool to see, like on vinyl, just seeing like the Blueprint album of Jay-Z, or seeing like a screamo band on vinyl. It's just,
as long as you don't make the assumption that 90s or the late 19.
Well, now that they're making shows about the 90s, like the Netflix is doing a spin-off show of that 70s show called That 90s Show. So now my era, the people that are going to be watching the 90s show is going to be like me watching the 70s show at that same age. So I am old, or getting there at least, you know.
Yeah, I think on that note, we're going to switch over for our Patreon shows. Thank you everyone for watching this. If we appreciate you, and thank you. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, please remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell if you're new. That way you'll be notified when future videos come out. I know we're a little slow right now, but life is life. But we still keep trucking along. If you hitting the like button and sharing this out with your friends really helps us out. Really appreciate that. If you'd like to do more or can think about doing more, you can head over to patreon.com/scuba studio and consider being a patron there. We have a couple of perks for that. One of those right now is we do an after show after the which will be a live stream for our Patreon subscribers to comment and ask us questions. Plus, we will continue the conversation. Internet. So, we do the podcast here on Tuesdays, Tuesday nights. We will probably be shifting that in the beginning of 2022, only because Ry, as we know, is in school and he's got a class that night. So we're going to shift. Still working it out. We'll let you know.
Shift, my friends.
We're still going to have a few episodes before the end of the year. When we take our end of year break, just because of the holidays and all of those things. So we'll have our end of year, we'll have our year in review episode and all the other fun things. Stay tuned, enjoy. And if you're a Patreon member, head on over to patreon.com/scuba studio and check out the Patreon after shows. With that, stay safe, do the things, get ready for that turkey. And I almost forgot, I got to plug Sirenscape. Sirenscape, background music and soundboards you can use to make your games and tabletop experiences epic and fun. Go to sirenscape.com and check them out. We've been using them as the background music on our podcast pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah, for a long time.
We really thank and appreciate them. It's a custom sound set I made just for doing the podcast in the background when we have lulls in conversation. But go check them out. They got a wide variety of game sounds that you can listen to. And with that, I'm Steve. That's Ry. This is Scuba and The Ry, episode 107, and we're out. See you later.
Peace.